Is fatherhood defined by biology, by responsibility, or by both? This is what we'll be treating on the AIMS podcast today. And we have in the studio with me Mariam Thalban, Hajia.
Amina Muhammad, you're welcome to the AIMS podcast, coming to you live from the studios of AIMS Media Company Limited. Paternity fraud. What about it?
That's it. So, with paternity fraud, we want to determine how we can take the fraud out of it and focus on the paternity, or focus on the effect of paternity fraud. Or how did we even get here in the first place? We have a lineup of amazing guests. One of them is right here in the studio with us. And we also have...
We have, as advertised, Imam Abdurrahman Adangba. He'll be joining us via Zoom. We also have our daddy all the way from United Arab Emirates, who's also standing by on Zoom. And of course, from the we can't talk about this without medical aspect.
Yes, so we have a medical
and gynecologist.
Yes.
She will also be joining us later on. But right now, in the studio,
we have with us
Dr. Mustafa Adebayo Bello. He is a senior lecturer of Department of Peace and Religious Studies, Lagos State University.
You're welcome, sir.
The studio.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome to the AIMS podcast.
It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, so your rhetorical question.
Yes.
Did you hear that, sir?
I had.
Okay, any insights to that?
Well, fatherhood is it a function of biology or responsibility? And I would say both. Okay. But within our climb here, people look at fatherhood from the point of view of biology, and that's why the issue of paternity comes to bear that we're discussing today. But much more than impregnating a woman and going through the labor of giving birth to a child, fatherhood is about somebody, a man, who after bringing a child to the world is responsible until the child becomes attain the age of majority and start, his or her own family or our own family again.
Okay, so before we bring in our guests, what's your concern about the rate of DNA tests in our climate? It's global now.
I think as Africans, let me look at this from Afrocentric perspective. As Africans, we value children. We have not grown beyond the sentiment of procreation. In some climes, people even take the liberty of saying, I don't want to have children at all.
Yes.
I have a friend in the UK who said, no, I don't want to have a child.
But it's down here too,
here,
you know.
Here, people are still rooted to our culture.
Yes.
And our culture, a man is not considered, or somebody is not considered fulfilled enough if you don't have a child.
Yes.
Okay.
And because of this necessity of having a child, people could go to any length, whether as a man or even as a woman. And sometimes a husband and wife can even collaborate to participate in the fraud.
Yes, that's true. Actually, I agree with it. Yes, because I saw that happen online recently.
Yeah.
I caught the news.
Yeah.
That's true.
People can collaborate and cooperate and say, let's
maybe surrogacy. Do you have paternal surrogacy?
No.
Surrogacy may become, within some limits of the law.
Yes.
It's allowed, it's lawful.
And that's
but even beyond surrogacy, people deliberate. Two persons can collaborate as husband and wife and say, okay, let us go and get it done.
Outsource.
Outsource it. Thank you, that's the word. Outsource it, and when complications emerge thereafter, people now have to intervene and narrate the rules that they have paid.
But then the outsourcing would only be on the biological aspect of being a parent and not the responsibility, because they're ready to take up the responsibility.
Yes.
They just cannot by themselves reach that. Yeah. So they decided to commit that fraud. All right. Before we even consider it as a fraud, legally speaking, it has to mean that it's a crime, innit? But before we consider that, let's focus on what are the components of identifying it as a paternity fraud?
I think once it is outside the law,
the
law specify how paternity should be determined. And once you procure anything outside of it, there are people who have difficulties. Interventions that they could go to. But beyond that, what you now do, perhaps particularly when there's a third party involved,
Yes.
and that third party is in ignorance of the intent or the purpose of why what you are doing,
Thank you.
it becomes a fraud.
I wanted to ask that beyond, as in the law now, which law are we talking about? Is it the legal, as in the one that, or the natural law? Because no, there's a reason why I'm coming back to that. I'm circling back on that.
I think as Nigerians or people are watching, particularly within the context of Africa, our culture specifies who a father should be. Sometimes people say it is not about motherhood now, because sometimes you cannot claim to be, but it also happens too. People fight over, women fight over motherhood, over a child.
Yeah, of course.
So we are saying that our culture all of us have cultural understanding of who a father is and a mother. But beyond that, we are living within what is called a constitutional arrangement that specifies the limits. Okay. This is what you should do. And whatever you now do, particularly when it involves a third party who is not in the know of what intend to do, then becomes a fraud.
Thank you, Doctor. Just hold your thoughts there. Like I said, technology has made a lot of things easier. Imam Adangba was meant to join us in the studio, but you know, Lagos traffic. But technology, Imam, if you are there, can you lend a voice to our conversation? Paternity fraud. I mean, let's look at it holistically. As somebody who is globally traveled, you have been to several countries in the world. How prevalent? What is your thoughts on this? Imam Adangba, can you unmute and talk to us?
Yes, assalamu alaikum everybody, my brother in the house, the ambassador, and all of you hosting us. I think you are hearing me clearly.
Very well so. Very well so.
Yeah, I am beginning to think otherwise the way my brother in the studio is speaking. But the fraud in my own case, when you say fraud, like corruption. So paternity fraud is like when the man in the family, at least the man in his marriage, is being cheated of the ownership of the child. That's what I think. And if it is like that, it means we are going to look at first of all, emotionally, then spiritually, then economically. So if you're going to look at it emotionally, because of the fraud in it, it means if the man is cheated, he has to look for a way to balance himself. So going by culture, going by Islam, going by whatever way we want to put it, fraud is when you are cheated of what should belong to you and is taken by another person. In that wise, spiritually, what did the Holy Prophet Muhammad say? What did Islam say? So economically, what happens when a father, thinking he is the owner of the child, and is being told at 17, 18 years that is not the father? By one means or the other, either by DNA, or either by the woman confessing, or any other means. So what becomes of that father? What becomes of the son? What as the mother did, and what is going to happen to the society? So it's a big problem. Having paternity.
All right.
We are going to must deal with it in a way that people will understand that even if there is a fraud, what has Sharia said? Even if it's a fraud, how do you approach it economically? How do you approach it emotionally? So that at the end of the day, you don't go and commit suicide or you kill somebody in that wise.
It's a lot of emotional thoughts and rhetorical questions.
I especially love the angle with which
Yes,
came
you
into
go and commit suicide. Can you imagine a man discovering that 4 of his children are not his?
all of his children, as a matter of fact, yes.
Are not his own biologically. Wow.
I can't imagine it.
He will be coming back to us, but our grandpa is standing by in United Arab Emirates, Professor Ahmed bin Salawuddin. You are well traveled. You are presently outside the country. Traditionally, you probably want to share 1 or 2 experiences with us for us to also key into this conversation. Our daddy is the chairman of a standard group of companies, Standard Insurance and Signature Global. Sir, kindly lend a voice to this conversation. Thank you for joining us.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين أستغفر الله أستغفر الله أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم. First and foremost, my name, as mentioned, Professor Ahmed bin Salahuddin. I am the Chief Servant Officer of Standard Group of Company, consisting Standard Insurance Consultants, Signature Global Real Estate, as well as Signature Hospitality. But first and foremost, let me greet everybody. Let me greet everybody. Now, first and foremost, your question about paternity fraud is very excellent. And for the purpose of our viewers, it's very important to understand what paternity fraud is. Paternity fraud generally refers to situation where a man is incorrectly, listen to me, led to the belief that he is the biological father of a child, when he actually is not the biological father. This can happen through intentional deception, or in some cases, because of mother genuinely but not mistakenly believe the father. The legal definition and consequences vary from place to place. But let me just tell you, Islamic scholars, what I want to look at today, the question the AIM media is bringing, and for the interest and purpose of those who are listening to us, the issue is Islamic paternity principles. That is what I want to look at. I don't want to look at anything, because Islam, alhamdulillah, 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 the Quran given to us is very clear about marriage, and Quran give kudos to women. When you look Surah Al-Baqarah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, everything is inside. But the first thing the Quran stated as a masterpiece, you went to Surah Imran. When you go to Imran, the next thing is women, which he talked very eloquently. And it's very clear there. The legal gentleman who on seat, he has said something remarkable. In Islamic jurisprudence, the foundational principle of paternity is al-walad lil firah. The child belongs to the matrimonial bed. Paternity is strictly tied to a valid marriage. When you conduct a marriage, which is nikah, that is the beginning. The moment a nikah is sealed for a woman, that is the final. And my bosom friend, Sheikh Buin Din Ajani Bello, said it out with a number. The moment marriage is consummated, is sealed, a woman should not see anybody whatsoever. The moment anybody, whether they do or what, the marriage is broken. So Islam is very, very emphatic, and it makes it very clear that women are in a better position to guide their private parts. And to ensure that we have what is known as egalitarian society. Islam made it very clear for us. We don't need to go to anywhere. When you look Surah Imran, now it goes back to women. Women are placed in a more advantageous because women, 75% of their time, they use it for the children. And because of that, women is highly recognized. And that is why Quran says, men should treat your wife as if to treat your eggs.
Let's look at it from the prevalence now. Sorry, sir. Let's look at it because you are well traveled. Presently, you are in the United Arab Emirates. How common is this? I mean, with your experiences, you want to, people have shared their experiences with you and all of that. How common is it globally, sir, this paternity fraud?
Globally, it's very, very common. But the way each country treats it is quite different. In here, I don't say there is no paternity fraud, but because of Quranic injunction, there is limitation. Because if you are going to the hospital, it is very clear that the moment a woman is going into the hospital, they will know it's DNA, they will know it's blood test and everything. And when she comes out, it's come out positive, not negative. So in here, it is difficult. I don't say in Islam, because of the Quranic injunction, life is much, much easier down here. That's what I'm just trying to tell.
Finally, before we let you go, let's look at the traditional setting. You are as much as you are out of the country, you are a proper traditional man from his saying in Oyo State. Let's look at it from the traditional point of view. If this happens within our climb, what should be the way out? You know, they always say that Africans, we are all parents, irrespective of you give birth to the child or not. Let's look at it from that aspect, sir. From the family aspect, sir. From the family aspect, sir. From the family aspect, sir.
Now, from that aspect, idea for me, I think
another person knowingly, is that life considered to be a fraud? Is that life considered to be a fraud?
It is a bit
considered to be a fraud.
It is a bit considered to be a fraud. It is a fraud because in the sense that a woman knows that the child does not belong to that husband, it belongs to something. For one reason or the other, it's not a genuine reason for you to go outside the matrimonial arm and have sexual relationship with another man other than your husband. Yes, you said something very important that a man about 5 children or more, and that does not there's a limitation because follow Islamic principle on the masterpiece of Quran and all the principles involved. Because if the legal people look at it, they will look at Islamic laws, what it says. So therefore, talking to you today, I can only talk about Islam. I cannot talk about traditionals. I don't look at the traditional.
Let's allow you be for now, sir. We might come back to you before the end of the conversation. We appreciate the insight you have provided so far. Imam is still standing by. We'll be coming back to you, but our studio guests, Dr. Mustafa Adebayo Bello, Senior Lecturer, Lagos State University, Department of Peace and Religious Studies. You are welcome again.
Thank you.
You have heard the insights both guests online have provided. What's your take?
I think both guests, my big brother Abdurrahman Adangba and Prof, that they have mainly alluded to the Islamic point of view which is not
Far-fetched.
I mean, you can. Everybody knows that Islam provides solution to virtually all issues, but unfortunately, we are living in a plural society in Nigeria, where people sometimes religion becomes convenience, and like I did mention, that people do all sorts of things. From Africa point of view, people should understand that in Africa, no child is considered a bastard. No child is considered illegitimate, regardless of how that child is conceived.
Come to think
So
of it.
before the arrival of European masters, because before the Western civilization, Africans have always devised a means of, managing issues relating to paternity fraud. So for them, every child has a father, and that father may not be the biological father, and that's why once a fraud is noticed, such a child, because in the opinion of the Africans, that child is not blameworthy. It's not the reason why those who midwife his birth, who brought him into the world, committed a fraud. So that child will be accommodated within the family. Of course, there may be sanctions. I mean, from one society to the other, there are sanctions for those who commit such frauds. But that child is managed.
Okay.
That child is not considered illegitimate.
Okay.
But in the modern times, because we are living in a world that is evolving now, people now want to, there is this what they call individuality now.
Yes.
This is my child. And for that reason, if a father wants to ensure that that child 100% belongs to me.
Yes.
And Prof had mentioned one thing. Within the Islamic point of view, it is easy. A child is located within the confines of a marriage.
Yes.
Once a woman gets married, whatever, all what they call the offspring from that relationship belongs to the father. Yes. So the father will not even have a reason to do a DNA. Because even if a woman is discovered, like what is happening in society today, even if you have had carnal knowledge of a woman within a marriage, and you knew that it was that relationship that led to that produced that child, you won't come out to claim it under Islam. You know the reason? Because once you voice out that opinion, that woman that is married, you will just be apprehended. And the maximum punishment for somebody who has committed illegal sexual intercourse will be meted out to you. So you won't benefit from your misbehavior. Yes. So, and that is why that's solved within the context of Islamic society. But in a plural society, no. We are under the constitution. And that is why, and another thing that I found out, and which we should also tell people, is that Islam had provided a solution, a simple solution.
And what is the solution?
And let me tell you, unlike every other, by the nature of my work, I study all religions. And by the nature, it is only in Islam, particularly in the Quran, that God emphasized that some women will be barren. No matter how hard they try. Some men will be barren. No matter how hard they try. And I said, that is my prerogative. It's my prerogative to give some people male children. It's my prerogative to give some people female children. And I can decide to make some people barren in spite of the trials or the technologies that you now have. So people should understand. When people try and you try and you try, you cannot get it. Just do some other things. Okay. And there are other ways of getting it. And that's why we're saying that sometimes, and people should also understand the fact, and you have mentioned it, most of the issue of paternity, people now push it to women. It's not only women, it's not all the time.
Thank you. Hold your thoughts there. We're supposed to be having comments now from online.
Of course, on YouTube, our viewers are there watching us and catching up with what we're talking about. And of course, they have their contribution.
Okay, so while you're searching for that, there's a medical angle to this conversation. And our obstetrician, gynecologist is also on the call. We have Dr. Fatima Adeyemi, who would introduce herself properly. She's a medical director of an hospital. She's very familiar with what we are talking about. We have seen a lot of baby swaps in the hospital. We've seen a lot of so many things. Can you please join us to give your insight into this conversation of paternity fraud? Paternity fraud. Dr.
Thank
Adeyemi,
you.
please.
I'm sorry I'm joining late. I just finished surgery from theater. In short, when
We
I looked at the
understand.
time, it was so like this. Yeah. Dr. Fatima Abibade, just like she said, I'm an obstetrician gynecologist and a minimal access surgeon, and MD specialist, Pearl Specialist Medical Center, and locuming with Lagos University Teaching Hospital. Yeah, paternity fraud. Medically. I'm wondering why the echo will continue. All right. So in medical parlance, it may be rare to have what we call paternity fraud. It's a systemic mistake that is common because there are many, these days we have what we call protocols. We have protocols, SOPs, check and balances. That's why we have bands. When immediately they give birth to a child, they put a band on the wrist of the child. And sometimes you even have children being given in a room. They are there with their mother. However, sometimes there are still some swapping, maybe as a result of fatigue of the staffs. And in very rare cases, there have been stories of people planning things. However, in a well-structured medical facility or center, it will be rare to have such happen. And when it happens, it becomes a legal case. That is swapping of children. Now, when we talk about IVF, that's artificial reproductive technology in reproduction. I guess you must have. I joined when I joined our father that was talking mentioned some things about it and spoke about the Islamic perspective. That's in that place, in that balance, we don't have solid enough rules and regulations yet controlling the IVF centers. Though AFRH, African Fertility Reproductive Society, they've come up with rules and regulations with Lagos State. We are starting it in Lagos State, but there are many, will I say factory places where they are doing IVF, where you hear of things like crypto pregnancy. That you hear in those places, that's where you can hear of maybe some of the doctors or some people giving their sperm to impregnate the women. Aside that, in a well-structured place, sorry, paternity fraud is difficult. And when this occurs, anyway, DNA testing comes to the rescue. When we do a DNA test, we use it to decide who is the father or the mother of a child, because a baby, takes 50% of the genetic constitution of both the mother and the father. In an instance where the baby do not have the genetic constitution of the father at all, and it was not an agreed, maybe IVF donor baby, then we can now put a question mark on the paternity. However, I want to end it up with what our father said about the Islamic aspect. I think some of the Igbo land, some places in Igbo land also do that. Once you are in a marriage, all the offsprings of that marriage becomes that of the father. Yeah, this is what I have to say about the medical angle to the paternity fraud.
For your
Maybe
insight.
when questions come up, then
Yes,
I can throw more light on.
Yes, thank you for your insight. This surrogacy, particularly for women, is this? Can you also consider this as fraudulent? If, for instance, the man is not aware, a woman is infertile and just want to have a baby and goes to the lab to inject another man's semen and all of that. Have you experienced this in your practice? Can that be considered as a fraud? Because you alluded to it in your speech.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. If a woman goes to a fertility center alone, normally couples go to fertility center, but there are times that single ladies go to fertility center because they want to have babies. Some fertility centers do it for them. However, in a situation where a woman goes to a fertility center, bring the child home, if the husband can father a child, he may not know it immediately because most of the time that these have been found out, they have been accidental findings, such as maybe couples or a family trying to relocate, and the embassy want them to do DNA for the children they have, or there is an issue on the inheritance that a father left behind, and they have to do DNA testing to make sure all the children are here. Those are the times that you actually get this. But in a situation that a man knows that he cannot father a child, and the woman brings a child to him, then that is definitely paternity fraud. Such men can take it up.
Mr. Mariam, how has it been so far? It's the AIMS podcast. I think we should just go for a short break. We'll come back to join our online guests and our studio guests. What do you have to say?
Well, remember to drop your comments while you're watching us. Drop your comment for our doctors, drop your comment for our ustaz and our imam. Drop your comment for our studio guests also, and we'll attend to them all, inshallah.
Let's go for a short break. We'll be back.
AIMS Media Company Limited offers media services for developmental journalism, public relations, marketing, event coordination pan-Nigeria, and training. Top-notch media content comprising documentaries, talk shows, magazine and children's shows, each and all promoting family values for sustainable development. Our partners, collaborators and patrons span individuals, groups, corporate bodies, government, NGOs, UN bodies, and more. Be reassured that our studio facility will meet your yearnings of digital solutions to your broadcast content. We are peopled by board members with unblemished track records and major players in the corporate world.
Hello, it's Child Crest.
Our panache, passion, and professionalism make her the lead driver of our goal-focused team. Entrust your brands to AIMS Media Company Limited to add value to your corporate existence while meeting your target audience. www.aimsmedia.com.ng, info@aimsmedia.com.ng. Like us on our Facebook page, AIMS Media Company Limited. AIMS Media. Turning your...
Welcome back. It's the AIMS podcast coming to you from the studios of AIMS Media Company Limited. We are live, bringing your comments, ask your question, bring your contribution. And we have with us in the studio, live in the studio, Dr. Mustafa Adebayo Bello. My sister is here, Sister Mariam Tauban. We call her celebrity presenter. What's next?
All right, so we're going back to Imam. We're circling back to him, to Imam Adangba. We have all heard from our guests, both the virtual ones and the one right here in the studio, to see that in Islam, there is something known as preservation of lineage, and that's the paramount for us as Muslims, right? Whereas any product of that marriage, as long as the marriage is subsisting, any product of the marriage belongs to the father. Am I correct in this assumption? Now, Imam Adangba, what do we then do to a man who, okay, what should a man do? Not what do we do. What should a man do that has come to know that his children, or maybe one or two of those children, are not his, perhaps due to foreign knowledge or maybe confession by the, yes, and he could have got to know through any means. What is the man supposed to do Islamically now? We're narrowing it down to our perspective faith-wise.
Thank you very much. I like that. Let everybody mute their microphone so that the reoccurrence of the echo will not be coming. Now, I like that question, and I want to tell you one thing. Islam takes everything from its foundation, and Islam deals with everything that will make the future become a disturbing future or a confused one. So it has told us that you should give every woman her dowry, direct, and it is emphatic in the Quran. It's a standing order. Give their own dowry to them direct. What is a dowry? A dowry is the money given to a woman, a girl you want to marry, directly, belonging to her, not just as a gift, but as an order of Allah, to make her open her laps for you to enter for procreation. So it's not for our head. It's for our area, a public area, woman area. I don't want to, a private area. For you, that is the essence of the dowry. That is why the girls own it, for her to be able to open those laps for you to come in. And afterwards, be the custodian of that same place and manage that same place that is there. And if that is washed, then definitely there will be no case for any man to say that child is not mine. But since we have bastardized that, then we are ready to face the fraud. A man that has a child from a woman, if one question comes in, if he says he doesn't want that, the first question that comes in is that, do you consummate or you are intimate with her, even if it's for half a second? If he says yes, then the child belongs to him, either he wants it or not.
Wow.
So women are of two categories in a man's marriage in a man's life of marriage. The first woman is a woman he married legally by paying the dowry, and the second woman is a woman that he manipulated because she is a slave. She is a slave, sorry. So, but a slave in that instance was then. Now, who are the slaves in marriage? The slaves in marriage is what the Quran abhors. The Quran says, don't pick them as girlfriend. So any girlfriend making love to a man without having a dowry and that marriage consummated legally is a slave in that wise. So the man must not say, it's not my child alone and we admit it. No, he has to go through the rudiments of cursing himself after void in two ways. Number one, he either say, okay, I have a witness. And how will that witness come in? The witness will come in that I saw him, that he made love to her. The child then belongs to him. Or I know that he did not make love to her. Then that child will be given that to the mother to go and give it to any person that had married her before then. But if she is not married, then she has to take custody of the child herself.
Wow. Okay.
So this is why the Quranic injunction that will make this situation not right is that singular
Imani Yakin.
is iman, is consciousness. Consciousness of shahada, that I bear witness that what I'm going to say is
truth.
nothing but the
Wow.
truth. Allah is not there, but you are there. How are you there? You know if you have done it, you know if you have not done it. If that is what we are going to face, if that is what is going to happen, then we know now that the man should take the child if he has made love to that girl once.
In other words, it is difficult to prove paternity fraud in Islam. It's simply put, is that it, Imam? Is that it, Doctor?
Yes.
Wow. All right, that's interesting.
Actually, Imam, are you answering that question so that we can come back to the studio?
I think that's just it. That's it. Somebody else just
That's right. Okay, we'll be coming back to you in your final thoughts. Now, Doctor, in answering her question, there was a poser earlier. The man now discovered after several years that all his children are not his. What kind of fraud? What can be? How better can we describe such a fraud?
That's why we advise people, those of us who are clerics, we tell people, don't even go that route. Don't go through it.
Wow.
Don't subject yourself to
the agony.
You see, marriage in Islam, let me now come to Islam, is free entrance, free exit.
Oh.
If there is a what I call disagreement within a marriage,
like a dispute,
that a dispute, and it warrants both parties separating, separate in goodness.
Okay.
Separate in goodness, and when you do that, when you separate in goodness, then what it means, these children, in this case, who are the products of this marriage,
yes,
they are not the reasons for whatever you are doing. And because what we are telling people is that if you have invested your time, and like Imam Adangba said, if the man is not impotent, if the man is sexually active, and you've been having conjugal relationship with the woman, then it is assumed you are the
father of the children.
So, because we have seen cases, but today while coming to the studio, somebody was telling me, and that is within the realm of our own society here, where things are not done properly.
Yeah.
We have seen somebody who have gone to a DNA, which returned that the child did not belong to the man. And a second opinion, a second test was taken in another place, which negated the first one.
I wanted to ask Doctor earlier.
And that's why we tell men, just like I advise women, don't check at your husband's phone, so that you will not be crying.
Doctor, you're taking us to another place.
So men also should not think about DNA in the first instance.
Wow.
Look at it yourself. You are a father. Your child is about 18 years, 20 years. You have invested not just money, emotional investment. And that child had grown. You have come to love that child as like your alter ego. And just because the woman annoyed you, or you had somebody said whisperings, or one good for nothing somebody emerged from nowhere.
Said that when he was in secondary school,
when he was in the university, I slept with her, and all these things, just ignore it. You are the husband.
Okay.
You are the husband.
Okay.
So, and that's why, because if you now to manage that kind of information, we require another.
I have an issue with your analysis. When you talk of the traditional aspect, even the religious aspect, heritage, inheritance,
lineage, preservation of dignity of the child,
of lineage,
the welfare of the child.
I know what you are saying.
You are changing the child's destiny, as it were.
No, nobody can change anybody's destiny. What you meant by
biologically,
the
blood,
which emphasizes that there must be preservation of lineage. Fine. This is within the context, is what you can humanly,
even culturally,
traditionally
manage.
You don't change somebody's lineage.
And that's why Imam Adama mentioned it from the point of view of the Sharia. You will say, have you had conjugal relationship with her? If you say yes, once the fact that you have had it, means
punishment,
that
the fact makes it fraudulent.
It means that
No,
you are
no,
the
no.
father.
It means you're the father
You are
of the
the father
child.
of the child.
Okay.
That's what it
That's
means.
what it
All right,
means.
so let's hold our thoughts here. Our big daddy is on the call again. He wants to learn the voice. This maybe just the final, words. You have seen the robust nature of our conversation, sir. Let's bring in again Professor Ahmed bin Salaudi, the group chairman of Standard Group. Let's hear from you, sir. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you.
Thank you very much, Amina. You see, the fact of the case is that I say it without time, without number. 1448 years ago, 1448, the Quran has been a masterpiece. And it is only proof that it will never change.
Yes.
Either now or in the future. I think the Islamic scholars, we have to be honest with ourselves with so many things we are saying, so that we don't misguide the teeming population. I'm not talking of what we have in the traditional way or otherwise. Quran is very clear. And let me read it once again. Paternity fraud generally refers to situation where a man is incorrectly led to believe that he is the biological father of a child when actually is not. That's number one. Let us understand it very well. When you talk about even disclaiming paternity, the Islamic scholar, go and check your Quran. Lian is very clear. A husband can legally deny a child paternity if he strongly suspects the child is not his own through strict Quranic oath process. That's number one. Number two, go and check role of DNA in testing insofar as is concerned Quran. Islamic scholars and jurists and councils widely accept modern DNA testing as a highly reliable source of finding paternity. It even go further in Quran. Adopting and fondlings, Islam prohibits legal adoption. Our Islamic scholar, don't let us turn to the West. The West are hypocrites. And I always tag them as countries who are morally bankrupt. We as Muslims should not follow that. The Quran is the masterpiece of everything. I've told you, when you look at Surah Al-Baqarah, you leave that one. The next one is family of Imran. How is it set up? The next thing is women. How women should behave. Don't let us leave our people to believe that because anybody has sexual something with you, 18 years, 20 years, that is what is known as sentiment. Sentiment is not allowed in Islam. Islam is a masterpiece. He regulated everything clearly. Now you see a lot of vagabonds in the street.
Okay, sir. Let's
seeing the children killing the father.
We have limitation in timing. That's just the challenge. Maybe at this point you can now definitely revisit this topic.
Absolutely.
And I'm
We
sure
have
you will
to.
come back
We
to
have
counsel
to.
us. Just finally, sir, just give us in a broad perspective your counsel for everybody. Anybody who is in this kind of situation, what's your counsel for such a person? In 30 seconds, 1 minute, so that we can run up because we have a limitation of time.
Justice is done.
Sir, over to you.
I'm not looking after what is the this thing. And like I told you from the beginning, I'm talking from Islamic point of view. I'm not talking from anything. And to be honest with you, my own belief is that when you have a marriage, like the Islamic scholar said, there is exit, easy exit. A woman is entitled to divorce the husband is entitled to, if you have a hopeless marriage, you can dissolve it. Quran is very simple and very clear. That's what I want to do. I can only tell everybody, if you are a Muslim, look at your Quran very well. Don't misinterpret your Quran to just tell people the wrong thing. That's just my own.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking out time to join us in spite of the time difference. You've been in the office this morning and you had to stay back to join us on this program. We've had Professor Ahmed bin Salahuddin sharing thoughts with us all the way from United Arab Emirates. Jazakumullahu khairan. Sister Mariam.
Well, I am circling back to the very first question we opened today's session with, and that is whether or not fatherhood is determined by biology or by responsibility. And we've been able to determine that fatherhood is indeed defined by both, but on different areas and on different scales, especially when we're looking at it from the, we've heard the medical perspective of it, which is purely biological. We've heard the Islamic perspective of it, which is a mixture or a fusion of the responsibility, because you're taking responsibility as not just a father that birthed this child, but one that has to take care of the child's dignity and the lineage, right? So, what do you think is the cause? Why would any woman or any family, you know, doctor's opinion is that paternity fraud can even be a kind of cooperation between the father and mother, which I totally tilt towards, I agree with. But then, why would anyone, whether just the woman now being fraudulent with the husband, not letting him know that this child does not belong to him, or both of them even knowing and, you know, defrauding the society at large as to whether or not the child is truly theirs? Why would anyone do that? What do you think?
I mean, in relation, before you answer, you know, in Islam, when you are not biologically, you are not a biological a child, particularly for the male, cannot even be an imam. You understand? Is it related? So,
I think, well, what you have combined together, let me just say it this way. Our society needs a reorientation as regards the concept of marriage. And I tell people, what is marriage itself? It's two people coming together to live in harmony. And the issue of children now coming out of a marital relationship, yes, everybody wants children. But we need to tell people that you can be happy even if you have made all trials. You know, from the point of view of Islam, there are some people, as much as Islam encourages every Muslim to marry, there are some people that may not necessarily marry in Islam. For instance, if a man does not have the capacity to meet with a woman sexually, what is the need for a marriage for him? If he
fulfill societal expectations?
If biology, societal expectations, and such,
so
there will be fraud.
Yes.
And if a woman also, there are some people who are hermaphrodites. And if they cannot perform what they call a surgery, to be able to correct that kind of defect, what is the essence of marriage? Thirdly, we also know, and because we're in the public space, I will not be mentioning names. We have Nigerians, eminent Nigerians, men and women of note, who lived a very fulfilled life. And they were very useful to the society, who never had a child. And they devoted their energy to other things. But when it becomes having a child by fire, by force, that is when you have fraud.
Okay.
And that's why we are saying that people should have orientation as regards the issue of marriage.
Okay. Fertility,
okay,
marriage,
you come back with your final thoughts. Let's get the final thoughts from our online guests. Let's start with Dr. Adeyemi. What's your final thoughts on this conversation? You have listened all through. In another 1 minute, just give us your final thoughts. Thank you.
In addition, please, just before Doctor picks up the question, we would like to know, is DNA, can it ever be wrong? We can hear you, Doctor. Can you hear us?
Go ahead,
Can
doctor.
DNA ever be wrong?
You know, I didn't finish talking before we went on break, and there was something you mentioned earlier that from the medical perspective is only biological. No, it's not only biological that is paternity. When we have the IVF, there is paternity legally from even when they have a donor. If it's a couple that come and the husband is having things we call azoospermia, cannot father a child. If they all agree and there are legal signing, the donor sperm can be used, but the intending father will be the father of this child, not the biological father. They've signed for it. That's medical. Islamically, that's why we don't accept donor egg or donor sperm in Islam because it affects paternity. Then coming to the DNA question you ask, very rarely, in very rare occasion, it is so rare. There are times that the DNA can bring out a wrong paternity while it is the father that is still the child, the father of the baby. There is what we call chimerism. Chimerism, it occurs as the baby is growing inside the womb. There are times a twin absorb the cells of the twin, the twin. So they were starting off as a twin, but as time goes on, it becomes a child. The cells of the other twin is still in the body of that child. So sometimes, very rare occasion, they carry different, is it chromosome now or DNA? But it's a very rare occasion. Still, DNA testing
really appreciate
is still
your
the guide.
insights. Pardon us. You have to leave your theater and to come and attend to us. You know, thank you so much, Jazakallah Khairan. Now, Imam, in rounding off this session, what's your counsel in terms of, for the larger audience, the public? I mean, this is not a topic that is peculiar to Muslims alone. It's generic, and you were traveled, you relate with a lot of people from seminars, workshops. So let's get your final thoughts in that regard.
Yeah, I want to quickly drop this. I want to tell our ambassador that we are not, as Muslims, leading people astray when it comes to telling them what the Islamic tenets has to do with paternity. Allah values procreation so much that any Muslim cleric must not play our joke with it. So when genes, the naturality of existence in human to human is coming to place, it should be put into a womb that is clean of body count. It should be put to a womb that is not having other interactions with other men. That is why it stipulates that in divorce, a woman must stay 3 months before meeting with another person. And when it is in death, the woman must stay for 4 months and 10 days. So that is aside. What I want to say is that if Islam and Allah values procreation very much, then we should go into legal marriage. We should go into legal marriage.
Thank you very
Let's go into legal marriage. Don't do boyfriend, don't do woman friend, don't do anything. Even if you are going to use a condom or whatever, don't do anything. Go into legal marriage. When you want to spiritually combine, put your aura in another person, you should be very careful. Or else you will cause the world a destruction that will never and can never.
Thank you so much, Imam. We couldn't have had it better from you. We will say that may this weigh heavily on your scale of goodies. Hajia, we have to round off now.
Yes.
Doctor, your final words.
My final words. Well, people should know that fraud, paternity fraud, is that you are not just destroying your own life, your integrity, destroying the life of a child who has no reason to feel bad because he has come into the world. So if you think of that child, please don't do it. Thank you.
Wow. This has been, as a matter of fact, I don't want this to end, and I'm hoping that we have to do this again at some other time, bringing in all these amazing speakers that have lended their voices, great insights and great enlightenment to this topic. Of course, paternity fraud, like everyone has said, especially what doctor has ended with, do not find yourself in a situation where you would have to commit it, so that you do not destroy the life of a child who has no business in, being punished
Feeling
that
bad.
way. Yes.
Thank you so
Get a
much.
punishment.
Paternity fraud has been the focus of the AIMS podcast, coming to you from the studios of AIMS Media Company Limited. How else could we have done this without involving you? We would like to say thank you to our daddy, right, all the way from United Arab Emirates, Professor Ahmed bin Salahuddin, the chairman of Standard Group. Imam Abdurrahman Adangba, thank you very much. We didn't miss you, even though you were on your way here and you were held up, but technology has made a lot of things easy. And of course, our studio guest, Dr. Right? Did I say doctor?
Not to
Professor?
Not to forget Dr. Adeyemi, right? The doctor
Doctor,
that
yes,
also joined
Fatima
us.
Adeyemi,
Thank
who
you so
ran away
much.
from the, just finished in this theater and joined us to give the medical view to this conversation. And of course, Professor Mustafa Adebayo Bello. Thank you so much for here. Next week, what do we have? Co-education, combined education. Do we have gender-specific boarding school for boys or girls? We have educationists that will be talking to us from the practical point of view.
Seasoned ones,
and of course,
professionals.
somebody who has been an administrator in the Lagos State government. Are you looking forward to that?
I am definitely looking forward to it, because you know how our educational system is here in Lagos today. So I think it's something worth looking into by everyone. So join us again on this same program, this same time, 5 p.m., this same day on Friday next
Tap.
week.
It's
Tap.
Media Podcast. Tap.
In my favorite parlance, I'll say tap in your hours and not tune in. So tap in and join us and share for next
See you
week.
next week. Bye for now.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.